Alright, this is video number 2. As you can see, I replaced the tires. I put on nice black walls. They're good. You can see I replaced the spark plugs. Look at this. That's spark plug. AC Titan. That's one of the originals. I heard that some of these, Defiance Spark Plug Company, Defiance, Ohio. Some of these things are collector's items. Some people collect, I guess you shine them up or something, I don't know. As you can see, I didn't do anything to the body or the... I did do a few things to the... There's a clock. The clock goes back in there. That's out waiting to get fixed. But as you can see, I dropped the oil pan, cleaned out the entire oil system, including all the lines, and including this gauge. That's the oil gauge, which is actually a spinner. When the oil pressure presses down on that, the oil spins that little wheel, and I had an optician make a crown glass dial for it. That's never going to break again. And over there, you got a new old stock ignition combination switch. It says Buick right on it. It's got a key. All that works. It's brand new. New old stock. As is the steering wheel. That's the new old stock steering wheel. Much better than the old one. Let me try and get new old stock parts as much as I can. You can't get better than that. Spare tire is still the old one. I don't know if I'm going to drive this enough to get flat tires. Someday maybe I'll get a new spare tire for it. But one of the biggest thing by far that I had to do was the steering gear was busted. Sometime, probably 80 years ago, these are the two half nuts that are on the inside of the steering gear. That's how it's supposed to look. But that's how the other one looks. They're two, and they go like this inside of the steering gear box. That thing is stripped. The thing is completely stripped right off. Smashed. And I'm going to show you. I took that whole steering gear box apart and rebuilt it using the spare steering gear box. This is the worm screw gear that goes on the inside of the box. It's all rusted out now because I threw it on a snowbank for the winter time. But if you can see down there at the bottom, I'm going to spin it. And if you can see, it's bent. See how that's warped? The only way that thing's going to be warped like that is if this thing was in an accident. And if you look at the front way the car is designed, if you're in an accident with this car, the first thing that hits is the wheel. You know, so somebody smashed this car and it bent that wheel out so bad that it screwed up the inside of the steering gear box. I was able to take my spare steering gearbox from the spare car, put the two together, and made one good working steering gearbox. Works perfectly now. As you can see, well, when the car's not moving, it doesn't have power steering. Had to take the carburetor out to get the steering box out, but that's all back together now. Everything's working. It's all good. Even the linkage, you see the linkage? So the linkage moving. That was a lot of work. Haven't gotten the motor unstuck yet. It's been sitting all winter. But I did rebuild the carburetor and the vacuum tank. There's other things I got to get unstuck first. The engine itself is not stuck, because I can see from looking up after I dropped the oil pan, I can see that during the past few months of driving this thing from out west to here, the piston has moved by about 1 inch, and the two cylinders where you can see where the pistons have moved. So that's not stuck. What's probably stuck and I'm not going to force anything. What's probably stuck is either the water pump or the starter motor slash generator. I'm going to take the radiator out. I'm going to take the timing gear out. I'm going to take the timing cover off. Take a good look and see what's stuck. I'm not going to force anything. I'm not going to break anything. As you can see, I put new spark plugs in. Look at that. The rocker arm shaft is one for each cylinder. It's a little rocker arm shaft. Six of the little rocker arm shafts. These are some valves I got. New old stock valves if I need them, exhaust valves. And when I get the valve, I'm going to give it a valve job. Because if any of the valves are stuck, and I try to crank the engine at all, it's going to bend these push rods. See those push rods? They're not bent. And I don't want them bent. Well, that bearing's good. The fan belt's broken. Got a new fan belt for it. Not going to get a leather fan belt. Not into leather fan belts. I don't think anyone really cares. So there you have it. Next time oh yeah, got glass in the windshield too. See that? Safety glass. Never had safety glass before. This thing came, the glasses were completely gone, both of them. Haven't done anything to... And like I was saying, there's a spare parts car. It's in here. Not much to it, but all the parts are here. Here's the frame. Somebody had... See, there's a frame there, and somebody was trying to rebuild it. There's this rear end. There's the dash and cowl. You can see that it even has this little oil spinner thing. A little busted up though. There's a front end over there. And all the wood is rotted away. So there was nothing left of the wood at all, but the metal panels were there. And spare gas tank. Spare wheels. Springs underneath that. We got 2 spare radiators, a spare jump seat. You see what happened was the wheels all rotted away because they're made of wood. So the previous owner, he tried to make wheels out of plywood just so he can roll the car around. See the same thing with the front end. You can see the 2 wheels there. Every part's here, except for the parts. He's even got a spare muffler. See that muffler over there? This is the muffler right there. The spare steering column that came from it is what I used. I took the good parts out of that and the good parts out of this and put them both together and made a nice spare. These are the tire rims. The wheels were busted, rotted away to nothing. Actually, you know what? There is one little tiny piece of one of the wheels left. Some of the, yeah, that's about all that's left of the wheels. Some little spray. Yeah, the wood. See that? Those are from that's all that's left of the wheels. There's a lot of oak here. Previous owner, he got a lot of oak and started putting together a car. And I'm going to use a lot of the parts that he made in that, like what I'm doing with the floorboards. Yeah, this is all, you know, he put together. He's really going to do a good job on making a new car out of this. But I got about halfway through it and kind of gave up. I don't know if you can see much in here. It's real dark in here, but there's the frame. Here's this half axles. Well, you really aren't getting that at all. The half axles that went into that rear end there. He took them out. I've already taken about 10 parts off of that car in an act of rebuilding up this. Nothing left but a pile of parts. 1918 model E49. This one, according to this serial number, is actually a 17 model E49. They made them both years. There's no difference, actually. You can't tell. They didn't change anything when they went into the 1918. They didn't change a thing. They announced a bunch of new models for the year and kept making this one. They started making this one in January of 1917. And they started making all the rest of the E models in August of 1917. And there's the motor, the spare motor. I've already taken a bunch of things off of this. And it's it. Spare motor, 1918, 6-cylinder 242 engine. There you go.